The lights have gone out now, and it seems that operations have shut down here. I was gonna build a nice desk, a new one upstairs to be with the wife and kids more, and I was ready to start getting a piece of furniture because it would have been easier to convert this from something that existed, but then coronavirus. Well, I saw a little thing on my Facebook feed that was pretty funny. Trumpeter, appropriately enough, I am not sponsored by them or anything, and just that I have a bunch of their model kits, put a fun little thing up on their Facebook, said keep calm and build model, or stay home and build model kits. Dreadnought is back on. Oh, and another Facebook post making the round says something to the effect of, hey, artsy people, you now have permission to break out the good art supplies you were saving. Well, I don't necessarily have good art supplies per se, but I do have good alcohol, so I'm going to consider that permission to break this stuff out too. Not that I don't have another assortment of whiskeys in other places, just that this is the most expensive one and I actually like the flavor of it the best. I don't have any Lagavulin, but really, I actually like Lafroig. I'm not sure if I like Lafroig more or Lagavulin more, to be honest. It's like it really is high grade Scotch, and it's about $40 cheaper. Okay, that sounded like a Lafroig advert. Again, I am not sponsored by these people. I just use their stuff and deem them worthy enough of being on camera. If they want to say stop showing our product in your YouTube channel or something, or sorry, stop showing our products in your YouTube channel, I'm sure they could probably couple of creative words if they wanted. Well, I guess I'd have to play nice like that. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get back to what we were doing before, which is taking pieces of this boat and building something a little more detailed. And details we shall add. So there I'm just comparing the two decks to each other, sort of seeing how they line up, how they don't. And there I am putting the camera in a new angle before I start pulling out all my supplies. So I first try to add a kind of outer wall to the barbette that goes through this section of deck. And what ends up happening is my first run, I fail at it. I think what happened is I put on a little too much glue when I had the circle thing, and I squeezed just a little too tight, so it didn't quite look like a circle or something. First thing I do, though, to try and cut a perfect circle is, you saw how I just put in some blue modeling clay there. I guess this might have worked if it was like an actual model putty, or poster putty, I should say. Because my thinking was have this thing stick to the top piece and have a nice perfect silhouette so everything lines up nice and perfect and wonderful. That didn't quite work, but I did end up being able to get something that was reasonably similar in effect. I think what I ended up doing was actually just holding it into the model. Well, we'll see once I get the barbette put on. I think that's what I did, those. To get the holes to line up, I essentially put them both back in the boat and then cut out the top hole. And that's a sort of, I go in reverse, you'll see in a little bit, for the stairs. But here I am, I think this is the part where I make the first barbette wall. And yep, there I am, I'm putting on some glue, trying to round everything up as best I can, get it to line up. And I think at some point I realized that it's just going to be too big and not going to work nearly well enough. I think I'm just beginning to glue it there into its final circular form before trying to put this on there. Come on. Come on. Alright. So yeah, as you can see, this is sped up 10 times, so this does take quite a while. So the second one, what I did is I tried to wrap the strip I'm using around it kind of twice to make it act like a circular piece that was solid from the get-go. And then just kind of gluing it sort of in situ, but not quite. I think I did that wrapping just to get it initially there and then to get the distances right or something. Eventually, I go back towards what I did before, which is I had one piece that I got the right length for cut, and then I did it again for a second piece and made that all work out. So, there we go. Yep, there I am, gluing some bits together now that I've got them properly lined up, and now I'm trying to make everything nice and perfect. Well, again, you never get perfect, this is reasonably close enough for me to continue with some level of confidence. So, yep, there I go. There I've got it. And now that I've got this thing lined up and nicely under, I think I use that to get everything to align proper. And then put the pieces in place and glue it appropriately after cutting out the hole. So, yeah, that's what I do is I cut out. Now I'm cutting out that hole that I mentioned before that the actual barbette would go through because it's multiple decks. So I've got to account for that in however I cut this. Yeah, so I'm just, again... So, lots of fiddling now with little pieces and trying to line everything up, get it all nice and good, as well as make sure that this thing is nice and well cut, lines up good, and there's how I put this thing on. So, again, I'm using this, the piece that kind of super tiny glue applicator I got came in, not the one I used for the super glue, but the other one. And that's working really good as a mandrel, so that was a good purchase, I guess. Now I am just trimming some of the final bits of that hole, make it as close to perfect as I can. Just because if I do want to try to add something akin to barbettes that go through the multiple floors, that's actually a reason enough to redo that first deck section right there. Although not, I mean, how much war work do we want to put in between us and the Bismarck, eh? So, but yeah, at least this will, teach me these building techniques. And again, that's the biggest purpose of this model, from my standpoint, besides looking awesome and being unique. So, there I am. I'm just checking how things fit through now. And now I'm starting to add some walls that might have been missing. I'm wondering, is this the 4th floor one? I think it is. Ah, okay. So, yeah, what I'm doing is just better putting on some segments of... that would better get close to the boiler there. I'm using thin wall sections to do that. I know it's probably not quite perfect, but again, the idea is it'll fill things in and it'll look reasonably accurate. Just, that little increase to the overall precision and accuracy of this model. And, of course, a sip of scotch, because scotch is good. And now I'm, again, stacking the pieces back on. The second deck, the third deck went in there. You see the 5th deck in the background. I got like a rash on my belly, so and just my arms too. My problem isn't coronavirus; it's some mystery rash. My wife thinks that it's because I've become allergic to the Adderall I was taking. It was a low dose, so it's not that bad, but it's annoying. So yeah, scratch there. All right, now that that's been properly solved, I break out the calipers again to start measuring various things. So again, as with the last video, regain my bearings on this thing. Again, that's kind of important to know what's going where so I can best place these staircases. And part of this is also I'm going to be thinking of what thing do I place staircases relative to, etc., etc. And I do end up thinking of how exactly I want to do that. I take measurements from the bottom thing sometimes, or other times I'll take measurements from the book itself and translate them into what they'd be at this scale. That's about a 0.55 multiplier. That's what I put it in my head. It's like 0.5485 or something when rounded to 4 decimal places. But I'll be honest, 0.55 is close enough for my line of work. And I don't want to bash my head with math that hard when I'm doing a hobby. If I was doing other things and had the phone not filming, I'd use it as a calculator because I'm a lazy SOB. But, well, 0.55 it's become. And there I am, speaking of that 0.55, using the values I've caught from the book or caught from other things, and just measuring not only where I'm going to put the staircase holes, but also where I'm going to, what size to cut them out to be. And after making that determination, looking through the book a couple of times, making sure it all seems to be right, maybe take a couple more measurements, hemming and hawing, which is, those of you that do models and do a lot of scratch building, I'm sure you either do it a lot more or you're mocking me for not having a proper plan. You're free to do so. Although I guess I really do have the proper plans right in front of me. It's how I'm able to add an interior. Yay. And I have to say, whenever I do get the Bismarck book, I hope it is equally detailed to this. I'm assuming it will be. But I'm hoping it's equally detailed, because I really don't want to have to start trying to hunt through German archives. Nothing against Germany, nothing against, German engineering. I just, I'll be honest, I just not sure if I have the time to spare to learn German. Well, I do have some fun money saved up, so maybe I could get Rosetta Stone or something, but meh, neither here nor there. I'll revisit that idea, actually. That sounds like a fun idea. Just to say how far I took something, But anyways, so what I was doing there is, much as before, I measured out actually the cutout for the funnel. And now it might be now that I've got the funnel and the funnel walls on there. So I've got walls that'll be for kind of the funnel and the funnel compartment. But now I think is where I'm going to start cutting into make those little staircase holes. So much as you've seen before, I will trace where I'm going to put walls. I'll cut walls to length, and then I'll put them on there. I've not been the most faithful boy when it comes to putting the doors on. I am faithful. ... Get that humor right out of the way. Forgive me. I'm sure this Corona quarantine is getting on everybody's nerves. So there I am, just checking to make sure holes line up. And here's what I did to make sure all the stairs and everything lined up. So I cut out my measurements on the top. And I'll say this while I'm trying to fold the homemade photo etch, and folding it and making some progress, and then losing some pieces and trying again and losing some more of them. But yeah, so what I did is I cut the hole out in the top where it should be, and then I used the fact that it's a mechanical pencil and the lead will go down quite a ways if you let it, to trace out where the stairs opening ends up. And there I am, using the snips to try to make everything as awesome as I can. And yeah, using the, at this point, very dull blade that I have. I actually did place an order for scalpel blades. They're going to come in mid next month, I think, is when Amazon said. At least Amazon's still running. I mean, I'll be honest, I feel bad for doing it on the one hand, but on the other hand, I don't entirely, because the things they're desperately needing right now, from what I understand, are masks, gloves, ventilators, and PPE, not so much scalpels. So, by the way, if you're like a doc that needs some scalpels, ask in the comments, and if I see it, I'll try and help you out. I mean, I'm not sure how fast USPS sends stuff, but, well, hopefully faster than it took me to do this photo etch. Okay, not literally, but yeah, this took a while. This photo etch thing is just, at least for me, as you can see, I'm a big guy. I have somewhat, usable but pudgy fingers. And what ends up happening is I am, more often than not, end up dropping these things right on the floor, much to my own chagrin. Oh boy. Yeah, so there I am again, folding and cutting, and I think you might see me in just a moment. Yep, there we go. Now that I got one folded up that didn't fall down, I place it as best I can where it would go, and now I use that little applicator to just precisely put the glue in place, and then I use the file to sand down where it goes proud of the decks. And I think here we are. We'll talk just a little bit more about the results of that. Yeah. That right there is a staircase in 1/700th scale, and it lines up. Well, I gotta say, that method I pretty much glossed over in the time-lapse, well, that worked. Alright. Back to how I passed the time because of coronavirus. Alright, and now I go and I add the next sets of stairs. Again, cutting more photo etch. It's a different day now. As you can see, I've shaved in this run of the filming. And I did a lot more work, but I think I deleted a section of video because it ended in a lot of cursing and swearing, just because of all the photo etch that fell on the floor. And I was just like, yeah, let's take a break and not film the screaming. So there I am. I am now folding up more pieces of photo etch folding and losing more pieces of photo etch to try and make the second set of stairs. And I think I actually pulled it off, with a little less muss and fuss than I've let on, but remember, I've hidden a bit of muss and fuss. Now I'm once again cutting things around. I used the photo etch scissors that time to cut it down to a level. And as you can see, I am once again looking things over and now measuring where to put the second sets of stairs. And I do end up finding where they should go. So there I go. I hem and haw over the plans, hemming and hawing. Maybe I should edit this part out, but I figure my best material comes in places where I'm just thinking of stuff to fill into this audio section here. I could, I suppose, have just gone like much faster with the time lapse, but then these videos would be like 2 minutes long, and what's the fun in that? Alright, so drink lots of scotch there and make some more measurements. So I measure to where things ought to go on the plan. I think after that I start looking for landmarks on the lower deck, and I make my measurement placement from there. So, yep, that's what I'm doing, and now I'm again making the sizes for my little cutouts. And now I am again cutting out the small areas. So, cut. As you can see, now I have plenty of, I'm just doing a lot of cutting, sorry. I'm adding 2 more holes, which I will then, as before, use the mechanical pencil and the alignment of everything in the deck to make my outline with. So there we go. And now that I have that, I can go ahead and start folding up more photo etch to try to make my little staircases. And again, there is some frustration here, because I'm not sure what is worse for me. I guess attrition's what it is, wise. Losing these pieces after I get them, which is really bad for, say, a nice photo etch I get from a third party, or if I lose it because I'm still trying to ham-fistedly figure out this whole photo etch thing. But I am getting really close. This is honestly the best photo fret I've made yet. So that's a good thing. I got that going for me, which is nice. Okay. Yep, there I am trying to... I cut out the section of photo etch that had the stairs so it would be separated from everything else. Alright. Sorry for my hemming and hawing. I'm trying to remember what I did. And I filmed this section more recently. So here we are. Now I've actually took a different way to glue one set of stairs in place. I somehow managed to do that, and I again cut it down with the photo etch scissors. I realized that things appear to fit good, which makes me happy, and then I again add the other set of stairs, and somehow I think this one I get it right first try. I think. I'm not sure. I'm sure I'll drop it in a second and say, oh, it did take me more than one try. But, yeah, I tried, I guess, folding some of it on the fret to try to minimize the chance of it getting lost. And there I go. Trying to keep things nice and pretty and working. Hey, I guess that one does look like it was first try. Yay. And there we go. 2 nicely done staircases, and in just a sec, you'll see the result. Alright, after a great deal of filming things here, all that time, all that effort, just to put 4 holes and 4 folded up photo etch ladders, if you are staircases, on plastic. I know, not very much, right? Well, yeah, well, again, getting back into the swing of things with the video, and this whole quarantine thing ain't necessarily helping me out much, so I'm going to leave this as the end of the video, and hope you all enjoyed, and hope to see you next time, but I do want to add one little kind of postscript here. Wash your hands, don't touch your face, stay safe. Alright, peace out.